He led one of the most successful and fast-growing units at Mars. He became the global president of chocolate before embarking on a new venture for Mars called Mars Edge, which is a new business that's focusing on the providing nutritious solutions for the 21st century. Thank you very much, Jean-Christophe, and welcome on stage.
Thank you, Bruno. Good morning, everyone. This is where you were supposed to ask me why I was here and what I was doing here. So I will provide the answer. I'm a business leader in search of solutions and answers because my business world is being reset completely. You know, as a business leader, our role is to keep the balance between different constituents, sometimes constituents with conflicting interests. And our job of dangerous juggling is to keep all the balls in the air as much as we can. And wherever I turn, whatever constituent I'm talking to, I hear a profound request and need for change. I go to my customers, I do my key accounts visit, and what I hear is a deep request for us to take responsibility for the entire supply chain of our products, much beyond the walls of our company. I talk to my consumers, we listen to them, we do a lot of research, and what we hear is that whilst value for money is important, values for money is much more important, and that the why we do business matters as much as the what we do. Then I listen and I spend time with our own associates, as we call them at Mars. And those folks are asking deep, demanding questions, telling us that the how we do business is as important for them as the how much or the what. And finally, I'm looking at you MBA students and talking and interviewing a lot of future talents, new talents. And by the way, most of the time, I feel much more interviewed than I interview, which sounds like a joke or an anecdote, but is very important. And the reason why I feel interviewed is that because the level of demand on the how, on the values, but not only the values on the walls of our business, but how we bring them in practice and what does it mean to do business in our company are at the front page of the interview. And those new talents are selecting where they want to work because they want to embrace a why and a how as much as a what or how much. So, as Bruno said, I'm not the only one knowing that. It's time for reset, and reset is uncomfortable. But the idea, the second reason I'm here, is not only because of this duty or this sense of urgency, it's because I strongly believe that we can turn that into an opportunity. Why if reset could become reinvent? Mars has been around for 105 years, and a company that remains privately owned more than 100 years is not a coincidence. It's not a lucky economic cycle or a fancy product that finds its territory for a couple of years. It's something that lasts. So we have an history of reinventing ourselves, and this probably is our next opportunity to reinvent. We're doing that in our large existing businesses, and I have the privilege of leading a complete new mission within Mars, which is building a complete new business from scratch in the area of health and nutrition for human beings. And the pledge, the bet I'm making is not only to make it digitally native, because I want to build a contemporary business, I want to make it economics of mutuality native from day one, applying what's happening here. But for that, Bruno, I need your help, because I'm not an academic, I have no PhD, I can confess that to you. I'm a simple man running a business. So I know that in order to progress, we need to measure. Simple rule in life. So what are the KPIs, the measures that you can equip me with so that I build a business and we run businesses in a manner that embraces the economics of mutuality? Give me the concrete, practical, down-to-earth tools in less than 20 minutes.
There is some mutuality here, the joke, right? As you can see. And by the way, there is a big difference between intelligence and being between intellectual. Okay.
Okay, I'm sure we'll cover that at a different point.
So practically speaking, any business is a net user of financial capital, obviously. We need money to start a business. But any business is also a net user of other form of capital. Social capital, which is a community in which you operate. Human capital, which is a quality of the individual you have in your business. And natural capital, in particular, if you are in the business of extracting natural resources from your business. So therefore, each of these components play an important role in your business. And I remember a conversation we had several years ago is that if you manage different form of capital, you should expect actually higher level of performance because you're adding resources to your business. The issue is that actually, how can you manage this new form of capital if you don't have any metrics to measure them, and if you don't know actually how to impact them? So essentially, this is where the economics of mutuality provide the intellectual and methodological framework. In short, we've been spending like several years with Oxford and other academics to develop this new KPI, these new metrics. And the metrics have to be simple, they have to be stable, and they have to be actionable, so that you don't need a PhD in sociology to understand social capital. You just need a good MBA, like the one we have here. Don't need a PhD in ecology to understand natural capital, right? So this is what the economics of mutuality provide, new metrics that any business people could understand, apply, and actually over time, it's like a new muscle that you have in your body, right? When you exert a new muscle, at the beginning, it's painful. You don't know how to do that. But at the same time, you feel good because you feel alive. So at the same time, any one of us, we know how to develop social capital. We just do it all the time. Sometimes some of us actually destroy social capital, right? But it's a new muscle that we have to learn. But all of us have this capacity, actually, to leverage the social, human, natural capital of business, impact them positively, and bring them as a resource to your business. So this is what the economics of mutuality can bring to your business, new metrics to measure, and new management practices to impact them.
One follow-up question, if you allow me, because as I said, simple man. I don't want to run 4 P&Ls. One is complex enough. So how do you help me? Will I have to manage 4 P&Ls?
The P&L is the center of the company. And that's why I always like to work with finance people. And in order to bring mutuality to life, it's important to bring it at the level of a profit and loss, at the management accounts. And instead of having a triple bottom line or a quadruple bottom line, which actually, in my view, is a form of confusion, it's like having a bottom line for the shareholder, a bottom line for the trade unions, and the bottom line for the NGO. We want to propose one bottom line that brings actually all the capitals into one. However, to do this, 2 things must happen. The first one is that you need to respect the nature of each capital. You want to remunerate financial capital with financial capital, makes sense, okay? But you also want to remunerate natural capital with natural capital, social capital with social capital, human capital with human capital. You don't want to put a dollar value on the cost of pollution. This is an important distinction. And then the cost of creation and the cost of replacement of this capital can actually be brought back into your P&L. And it's like actually adding a section in your management accounts, which actually is a way to align your organization and to align your performance on the management of different forms of capital. So yes, one bottom line, and also respecting the nature of each capital.
Thank you, Bruno. I like the answer. This is where you were supposed to ask me as well. What else do we need to do beyond those KPIs? So thanks so much for the question. I think the answer is really to say, that's great. You will equip us with KPIs, measures. You help us managing one P&L, integrating the different forms of capital. But having the tool is not enough. Because you guys, the MBA students, you will have learned that here. So in your first job, you'll be able to immediately be disciples and bring that to life. There are generations like mine that didn't have the chance to learn that 25, 30 years ago, and therefore we need to relearn, unbreed ourselves, unlearn some of what we have been learning, and relearn a new way of leading businesses, including a new vocabulary. Because what I learned when I had at your age was when you have an issue, you do a business analysis, an as-is analysis, you do your diagnosis, and then you go into action mode. And action mode, the verbs the vocabulary we were trained to have was you acquire, you build, you recruit capabilities. And all of that mostly within the range of the company. So first thing we are unlearning and relearning is looking much beyond the walls of the company. Our value chains, as I said earlier, are much broader. They are from end to end. And this is the kind of open mind and new mapping we need to learn, looking beyond the walls of the company. And then in terms of action, yes, we can build, but what if we can share an asset? We're used to say we want to acquire. What if we could leverage somebody else's asset in a different manner? And we used to say, you know what, we are missing a capability, let's go in a massive recruitment plan. What if we could partner to do that? So by expanding our line of sight much beyond the walls of the company and by using a complete new way, going away of this, we need to own everything from A to Z, but we can leverage others and go into a much more open form of sharing resources and capabilities. I think that, for me, is what's necessary. We are in the middle of it. I can tell you it's very humbling. So I'm not here. This is not a preach or a teach. It's me sharing an experience, telling you it's uncomfortable, it's highly necessary, but it's incredibly exciting. Because what's at stake is, I think we can change, we can transform the world by transforming the economy. On a personal note, I would love to be a business leader ranking a bit higher in Colin's ranking. And therefore, we need to transform if we want to have a future. You remember my invitation here a couple of years ago of being the courageous architect of the future. That's what's at stake. And we rejoice that it starts here. I rejoice to see in the room students, academics, NGOs, businesses that are embracing that and bringing them back to life in the world. But we want to go further. So if there is one announcement I wanted to make today is, as we have applied this rule to Mars itself, we came to the conclusion that the economics of mutuality, whilst incredibly proudly developed within Mars, in order to give it its full measure, it's time to give it its autonomy and make it work and make it available to the entire world. So later in the coming months, we are working together to establish economics of mutuality, both as a foundation as well as a service business that will be able to go beyond the walls of Mars and serve all the women and men of good intent and sharing the same philosophy that want to transform their business, their economy, their life. So this is what we had for you this morning. Thank you so much.